Welcome back to the show. As always, happy to be joined by our Kevin McPherson. And let's get right to it. Kevin, a great win for Arkansas over West Virginia yesterday. That is now 6 in a row for the Razorbacks after that 0-3 start to conference play. What were you most impressed with what you saw in their execution against the Mountaineers?
Well, it's the theme in this six-game winning streak. It's defense. I think everything starts on that end of the floor for Arkansas now, and it's how they've been able to turn this season around. That's six opponents in a row, by the way, that Arkansas has held under 39 field goal percentage shooting through the game, less than 31% shooting from three. Arkansas was one of the worst three-point defenses in the country. And by the way, not only under 31%, but that was the fourth opponent out of those six in these last six games. They actually held under 27% from three. Arkansas is averaging 16 and a half turnovers, forcing 16 and a half turnovers on opponents, which is always important when you have trouble taking care of the ball. You got to get some of those back on defense. Yesterday, only forced 9 turnovers, but they were plus 18 on the glass. So they lose the turnover battle, but they were big time winning the glass. Arkansas was plus 10 in points in the paint, and it got back to the free throw line, 28 of 34. This team's top 5 in the country in both free throw attempts and free throw makes per game, top 5 in both of those categories throughout the season. And you get there 34 times. Arkansas got it done at the line. So not only are they really good on defense, on offense, they still struggle with turnovers. They're not a good three-point shooting team. We saw that again yesterday. But they find ways to manufacture offense, whether it's getting to that line, getting on the offensive glass. You see a guy like DC Tony come in with 19 points to lead the team, 7 rebounds. Most of those were hard fought, but he made some finishes above the rim, lob passes, putback dunk. You look at Jalen Williams, his 5th double-double in his last 7 games, and the guy's averaging a double-double since the start of SEC play. So that's the last 8 SEC games plus this game yesterday in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. He's averaging over 12 points and over 10 and a half rebounds per game. And then he's a unique rim protector. He blocks shots. He's 7th in the SEC in doing that. But he's got as many drawn charges as he does blocks this year, 27 each. So when you combine that, he's really a plus rim protector. He's not a traditional rim protector when you look at a Walker Kessler at Auburn. It's averaging 4 blocks a game, but the combination of shot blocking and getting those charges to effectively create turnovers for the opposition and regain possession, he's really verging from a plus rim protector to an elite rim protector. But the offensive part of it too, the fact that he's scoring in double figures just about every game, didn't shoot that great yesterday, 3 of 13 from the field. But Alyssa, the good news there is he took 13 shots. You want him to be aggressive on offense. He's manufacturing trips to the free throw line. By the way, in these last 9 games, 80% from the line. He was barely above 50% prior to this surge on offense. So his game all the way around, the 3 assists per game are top 20 in the SEC. No other big man ranks top 20 in the SEC in assists. And then I look at his steals too. He gets steals not only at the top of the key, guarding his man out high when the action's out high on pick and roll, but around the basket. He gets deflections on passes, but his hands are so good, he corrals those deflections and turns them into steals. So this guy is a fixer. And then I look at JD Notae, a couple of his most efficient games lately were when he got in foul trouble and had to sit out for a while. His turnovers have been down, and his shot selection's been a little bit better in those situations. So I don't know if there's something to that small sample size, but even with, missing a lot of that first half, JD Notae still gives you production, still comes in and scores the ball, the SEC's leading scorer and the league leader in steals. And I think guys like Odis Tony, who I've talked about already, Stanley Amude, Trey Wade, you won't find a better trio of forwards, I don't think, in this league. Not only are they veterans, but they have now bought into and understand roles. Trey Wade looks like an elite defender in this 6-game run. He's averaging over 32 minutes. He locked down Sean McNeil, West Virginia's second leading scorer. So he held him to 7 points on 3 of 12 shooting. But the guy understands his role. He's very efficient on offense. He only takes what the offense and the defense provides, shooting and finishing at a high percentage, very efficient when he does look for his offense, over 8 points per game in this run. And then, Amude has been really good. His role has really increased offensively since the start of SEC play, even counting those first 3 losses. So I think Arkansas, when you look at those 5 starters, and then don't sleep on Devo Davis, by the way. He has been huge and critical in Arkansas's 3 biggest games in this 6-game winning streak, the closest games, the biggest wins at LSU. When you looked at the West Virginia game and then Texas A&M in that overtime game, He played his best ball as a freshman at once the the second half of SEC play started. We're not even there yet. We got a game, and I want to talk about looking ahead. But Devo Davis is in his 6-man role now. I think the best is still yet to come from him as Arkansas gets into stiffer competition as it moves through the second half of SEC play.
Well, you talk about the second half, and so Arkansas's got some work still to be done in league play right now. Want to keep the winning continued. How do you see this second half unfolding for the Razorbacks?
Well, it gets difficult. They're not quite there yet. The midweek game at Georgia officially concludes the first half of league play. That's the ninth SEC game. That won't be easy. Georgia's not very good. They've only won one league game, but guess what? That was their last home game against Alabama, a good Alabama team that just knocked off, Baylor, a top 5 team. So Georgia, and there's no night off in the SEC. But after that, you get a Saturday game to start that second half of league play at home against Mississippi State. That's a quad 2 win opportunity. But let's look at it this way. In the first 9 games, Arkansas had 3 quad 1 win opportunities. They went 1-2 in those games.
Mm-hmm.
Big win at LSU, a ranked team, a team that's going to stick as a quad 1 win.
Mm-hmm.
Second half of league play, out of the 9 games, 7 of those opportunities are quad 1 opportunities. Yeah. They're going to be quad 1 win or lose. That's where this resume is going to live and die. And Arkansas can bump along and pick up a couple of those and maybe get in as a lower seed or not a great seed in the NCAA tournament. I think they're aiming for much better than that. We saw what happened last year. Last year, there weren't expectations on the team. They turned their season around and picked up some really big quad 1 wins at the back end of league play. But there are more opportunities this time, and I think the quad 1 opponents are better this year than they were last year. So Arkansas has got to continue to build. It's been so good defensively. And if they continue to be good on that end of the floor, they're going to be in a lot of games. The key is, are they going to get better on offense in terms of taking care of the basketball, cutting down on some of those turnovers, and getting maybe a third guy behind now? I think Note, obviously, the SEC's leading scorer. We're seeing Jalen Williams really being a force on that side of the ball now and continue to build on that. Who else is going to step up and be that consistent guy on the offensive end? Doesn't have to put up huge numbers, but efficient consistently with some volume in production. I still think Devo Davis is that third head in the big 3. Last year, Moses Moody, Justin Smith, and Jalen Tate were the big 3. I still think it starts with Note and Jalen Williams. I think it's still Devo Davis. Even coming off the bench, he still plays heavy minutes. He's a guy that has shown to be clutch in big games, and I think he's going to have to elevate his game for Arkansas to be as good as it can be with the way the rotations are. And when you start stepping up, playing out, you're going to get Auburn at home. You're going to get Kentucky at home. Some of these teams, LSU comes in back, the second game's at Bud Walton Arena. You're going to host Tennessee. These are huge opportunities at quad 1 wins. And then you go on the road, you're on the road at Florida. So I told you there's 7 quad 1. You're back at Tennessee, by the way. They play them twice in the second half. So you've got multiple opportunities, 7 for Q1 wins or Q1 losses. What's Arkansas going to do? You got to love the run right now, though, Alyssa, because 6-0 in their last 6, and they weren't really bumping along. Thing else around that, and that's a gret foundation getting into the second half of league play.
All right, well, let's shift gears and talk a little bit about recruiting. Obviously, 2 big announcements this week with the McDonald's All-American Awards going to Jordan Walsh and Nick Smith Jr. And so that's huge because the last McDonald's All-American Arkansas had was Bobby Portis.
2013, and the only other time they had 2 McDonald's All-Americans in the same class, you had to go back to 1988, 34 years ago, Todd Day and Lee Mayberry. And we know that those guys, helped elevate the program to levels, previously unseen. And so, this is huge for Arkansas. These players, are projected as one and dones as well. That's not a surprise. And we see now what Eric Musselman can do with the roster makeover. He's going to put guys around them. It's going to start with those guys and some key returnees, and then they'll be back in the portal, I'm sure, in the spring. But it does start with those 2 centerpieces of the program once they step foot on campus. Nick Smith Jr. in the past week with the Texas A&M game, which went to overtime the previous Saturday and yesterday against West Virginia, was on campus. He was at the game. He brought one of his teammates from North Little Rock, Corey Washington, a 6'6" wing, who's picked up a lot of recruiting steam and momentum lately. Unsigned, but Arkansas and Oregon have shown some interest. So it was good for him to at least get an unofficial visit. And then a really good player from the class of 2023, Jeremiah Johnson, made his
Mhm.
second unofficial visit to Arkansas for this game as well.
Mhm.
Out of Norman, Oklahoma, 247 Sports ranks him in the top 40 in the country in that 2023 class. 6'3" point guard. So Arkansas recruiting continues, right? And during the basketball season, these players have their seasons. The Razorbacks are playing anytime you can get them on campus to see your product, to be at the game, see that atmosphere. Bud Walton Arena was rocking yesterday, and I know all three of those players were excited because they told me they really enjoyed it.
Well, that's awesome. Of course, always keeping us in the know. And, I think, this Arkansas team can definitely have a lot of success in the future. We've seen a lot change with this team. Almost that 0-3 start, lighting a fire under them a little bit because now they're on a 6-0 run. Kevin, we always enjoy talking with you. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch up with you next Sunday.
Thanks, Alyssa. Good to be with you guys.